If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. The child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
DJ Nick in the house again tonight. Joyner Lucas, Devil's Work, is up next.
Devil's Work. Hip-hop, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And it's a lyric video. I think Riv predicted this. That it was going to be this song.
Oh, shoot. NF, we were supposed to pull up the official video. Sorry about that, Nick. Boy, I can't even imagine it being more emotional than what we heard. God.
All right. Let's go.
Oh, pull up the official. Hold on, babe. He wanted the official on this one, too? Pull up the official. Sorry. I apologize. I didn't see that. I didn't see it, so I'm not prepared.
Oh, okay. No sweat. Okay. Joyner Lucas. The name of this song is The Devil's Work, is it?
Just Devil's Work.
Devil's Work. Okay. All right. You ready? 1.
Hold on.
2.
3.
Go. That's the official video? That can't be the official video. Okay. I don't think that's the official video, the one with Michael Jackson on it, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Good Lord. You kill me sometimes.
Babe, I looked at the name. Okay, ready?
I mean, obviously it wasn't it.
Well, I didn't know something was going to start.
Okay.
Anyway.
Joyner Lucas, Devil's Work. Let's go. Yeah, he's in a church in the official video.
Father, forgive me. I'm staring at this Bible as I keep glancing. Dear Lord, I got questions and I need answers. Trying to understand your vision, all I see is damage. Just a bunch of dead bodies in the street camping. A bunch of lost souls on their feet standing. We supposed to be your children, I thought we family. You supposed to be my father, bro, I need answers. We don't need to die young, we just need chances. Tired of living on the edge, so we keep scrambling. Trying to talk to these strippers, but they keep dancing. We just want to be number 1 like Steve Francis. Bow our heads, say a prayer, now the seeds planted. Everywhere I turn, I'm seeing MCs vanish. Lot of good niggas gone, I don't understand it. Lot of families lost and they seeds stranded. I ain't trying to disrespect you, I just need answers. I know you watching us from heaven thinking who to save. Cherry picking who should go next and who should stay. I'd be on my way to heaven if I knew the way. And bring back every good nigga you choose to take. They say you never wrong, but you done made a few mistakes. Cause you taking the wrong niggas, maybe you should trade. Trade us back all the real ones, remove the fakes. I think you should trade. Give us Tupac back and take that nigga Shug. Let the legend resurrect that he gon' live for good. I been screaming thug life in every different hood. If only you can bring him back, Lord, I wish you would. Give us Biggie, give us Pun, give us Triple X. Take that nigga Trump with you, that's a bigger threat. There's too much power for a coward with no intellect. That's a bigger with a collar, there's a disconnect. Niggas dying, mama crying, grandma need a tissue. Niggas shooting up the church, now I need a pistol. All them niggas still living, you don't see the issue. But how you take a leader, then you take a Leo with you. I ain't tryna disrespect, just need a meter with you. I ain't tryna overstep, just want a reason with you. Give us back our loved ones and take the evil with you. Send them suckers straight to hell, they don't need a vigil. I need you to give us back Martin Luther. Take Martin Shkreli, give us back Malcolm. Take R. Kelly, R.I.P. Lil Snoop, get that boy's life back. Take Eric Holder, give us Eric right back. I'm sending you this message, Lord, I hope you hit me right back. They say I'm on the wrong train, I know I'm on the right track. Cause Trayvon gone and all he did was try to fight back. Zimmerman walk around free, we don't like that. Why you take our mothers from us? Fathers and our sisters and our cousins from us. Got these children getting murdered while they double dutching. Wonder why the fuck you take Nipsey Hussle from us. Damn, you took a true king, a true brother from us. This a fucking marathon, but they running from us. Now everybody got guns, niggas up to something. And every gangster wanna prove that they tough or something. You know it's not fair, tell the truth. I've been in my feelings too. But if you took Emmett Till, at least take Dylan Roof. At least take James Holmes. I ain't even mad at that. Just bring back Whitney and give us Michael Jackson back. Feds want me and then slam it down. Ain't no justice for Sandra Bland, we up like a Salem fan. Lord, if you listen, I'm just looking for a hand in hand. Take out the fuck niggas and give us back our fam again. Drowning in my tears, trying to pray for something. Wonder why you give us life for you to take it from us. Wonder why you give us family then erase it from us. Maybe hopefully you can have a conversation with us. Maybe I'm just probably tripping cause I need a hug. The hood can't find jobs, now we need a plug. Everybody and their mama trying to be a thug. I don't go to church cause I'm afraid of being judged. I've been staring at the ceiling as I lie in bed, watching niggas follow trends like Simon says. I pray you give us back the real ones and try again. Or maybe take them niggas that deserve to die instead. Tommy Lauren run her mouth and then she get defensive. Lauren Ingram laughing at death and disrespecting. I really feel like you should teach them stupid hoes a lesson. Either that or give us back somebody who deserved the blessings. I left out a bunch of names that I forgot to mention. Cost too much to pay attention and it got expensive. Father, forgive me for I know not what I do, and now I'm reaching out to you hoping you hear me and return the message. I know that you got our back and that you're not against us. Or maybe you just love us so you doing shit to test us. I just kinda thought that you would do more to protect us. They say the good die young and I ain't on the guest list. I've been drinking, Lord, forgive me as my blood racing. I don't know what I'm thinking, I'm just frustrated. I don't mean to question you, I'm just confused. I don't know what else to do, I've been patient and it sucks waiting. Took my mans from me, that forever hurts. But putting the blame on you, that'll never work. I know this ain't your fault, it's the devil's work. Devil's work.
Unbelievable.
Our Amazon account is up and running now. We are selling our formula officially. It's amazing stuff from Europe.
Made in Germany. Sold in America.
Highest standards there are. In America, the standards haven't been updated since 1980. It's super weird, like older than me. In Europe, they update safety standards basically every year. This formula is top notch, great for the stomach, great for constipation. This is a great product. If you happen to want to purchase it and join us on our journey, then grab the link in the description. If you do and leave a review for us, send me a screenshot at vinandsori@gmail.com of your review after you have received the product. We will put your name in a hat. Song reviews are going to come out by some of the people that have left reviews. Don't forget to send us a screenshot of your review once you get the product. Now a word from our mascot dressed as a pirate, Fuji.
It's a deal of a deal.
Wow, these are some really, really good picks. Holy moly. Unbelievable. This was, I had so many thoughts throughout this. So there's a book of the Bible, Job, and, I mean, if you're jank, you call it Job.
That was good. Shout out to Jake Uger. Yeah. Where them joints at?
No.
What time the club open? What time? Shout out to the big open Charleston White. Gang. Yeah, Jenk was like, I know that Numbers 5 thing that that Jug tries to do with abortion. I know the Bible more than the Christians do. He's like, here's Job 32. I'm like, Job? The hell? Oh, Job.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Shout out to Jig.
Yeah. Anyway, so the book is about a guy that goes through all this horrible stuff. He loses everything. He loses all of his children, and when he loses them, he says, like, he basically says, the thing that I feared has come upon me, or something like that.
Yeah, the thing that I feared the most has now befallen me.
That is obviously...
I curse the day that I was born.
That phrase, like, comes to me. I tend to be a worrier a little bit. We have a lot of kids, and our teenagers are getting bigger, so they're, they want to go out exploring and doing different things, and, like, I think about that verse a lot. Anyway, so I was thinking about Job when this was going on, because he's just listing off all this lost. And he, like, at some points you could see, especially some, like, real hard churchgoers would be like, yo, he's disrespectful there. But he's saying, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I'm just looking for some answers. And when you read the book of Job, everybody likes, well, like, a lot of Christians will make it look like Job had, like, a perfect, flawless record. But when you actually sit down and read it, like, there's a point where he's saying stuff to God, and then there's, like, God listens, and then there's a point where God, like, comes back, at some points with him. Mm-hmm. And kind of, like, gives him, like, a little reality check a little bit. But when he was doing it, it was reminding me of that, and it was reminding me, like, where he kept saying all these things were happening, and he didn't know why, and kind of, like, asking God, like, you're just taking all these people from us. Instead of, like, we say it a lot of times, and maybe this answer sounds cold, but, like, we'll say that the Bible has laws basically for the universe and a way to live life, and that when those laws are followed, you circumvent certain pains, that if you don't follow those, you increase pain in your life. And so, on the one side, he's, like, asking God, like, why do you keep doing this? But on the other side, like, a lot of these people, I don't know all of these people's story, but a lot of these people were living contrary to the teachings of the God that they're saying, you did this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was really crazy when he was like, give us this one back and take that one. I was like, yo, my gosh. But
why was that fascinating?
Well, it was just crazy because, like, you're not just, like, making some, like, concept that you should give us back people and take other people that need to go, but, like, literally, like, naming people and putting their pictures in there, with the that was a pretty crazy visual. And it was it was painful too to see. I guess I know more about the goings on than I realized, because as this is going, I recognized a lot of the faces and a lot of the stories and stuff, and that hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's so that the philosophical theological category is called the theodicy, or defense of God. Mm-hmm. It's if God is good, why is there evil in the world? That type of situation. Yeah. And a lot of people reason, technically, logically, it's a false dilemma, but this is how it's normally phrased. If God is all-knowing and evil happens still, that means he either wasn't powerful enough to stop the evil or wasn't good enough to stop the evil. Mm-hmm. Or he's not all-knowing.
Right.
And what's fascinating is there's some Christians, and I still think that they're Christians. I mean, it's horrible theology, but I still think they're Christians. But some Christians say, yeah, he doesn't know everything. And they believe that God not knowing everything that was going to happen absolves him of the problem of evil.
I remember when we had this discussion.
And what's fascinating is that when you look at this rap here, the solution that he comes up for the problem of evil is that it's the devil.
Mm-hmm. At the very end, yeah.
And to him, that kind of reconciles the problem. In the end, he calms down. He's like, oh, okay, it was the devil. It wasn't you. I understand now. And that's kind of where he gets his clarity as a song like comes to the end. I know this ain't your fault. It's the devil's work. Mm-hmm. And
But that still doesn't answer the question, because then it makes it so the devil's more powerful.
Yeah, how does that solve the problem?
Yeah.
What was
if you don't
what
have
was
an
God
answer,
what was
then-
God doing when the devil was
Yeah.
running roughshod all over the world? What was God doing and he brings up Tupac, like, oh, I wish Tupac was dead instead of Shug. Which is a really fucked up thing to
Wait.
say.
But they're both dead, right?
Nah, Shug is still alive. He's in prison for the rest of his life. But Shug Knight is still alive.
He's saying, okay, I heard that differently.
Pac is dead.
Yeah, I knew that Tupac was
What's
dead.
horrible about what this guy said is that Shug was in the car when Pac got hit up. And Shug got hit in the head. As a matter of fact, the dude that shot him, everybody up, thought that Shug was dead. Because he hit him in his head and he, whatever. Tupac that night had taken part in beating up a known killer. This guy, Orlando Anderson, Baby Lane, he was a known shooter in Crip Gang. He was known. And Pac...
And it wasn't it over like some... It was like a pride issue, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, it was always a pride issue.
What was the reason that he went after that guy?
Well, Puff
there
Daddy,
a chain involved
Puff
in that
Daddy
one?
put a $10,000, whatever. If you get a death row, it's just anyway. Tupac, first of all, people who don't understand Tupac and really believe he was a thug, they really believe. I said a couple months ago, like, me and Tupac are very similar in that I was not a gangster and Tupac wasn't a gangster. Mm-hmm. Tupac was artistic. He was an intellectual. He had move around. He had a mother who taught him so Tupac was never a gangster. Never. He had a background similar to me, not Jamaica or whatever, but he had a background where he wasn't just taught to live in the ghetto and shoot other black people and all this other dumb shit and sell drugs and that's your only hope. Ridiculous. Tupac was a thespian. He was doing plays and shit with Jada Pinkett. He was not a gangster. Mm-hmm. But what happened was he got famous for putting out a certain kind of image. Well, that was a role that he played on TV. But what happened is Orlando Anderson was a real gangster. As a matter of fact, Orlando Anderson died in a shootout.
How long after?
3 or 4 years ago. Something completely unrelated. Somebody owed him money, so he took out his gun in broad daylight and shot at the guy. Was in the same gang, everything. And Orlando Anderson was crazy. But anyway, like I'm just zeroing in on that because it's extremely fascinating. Because here you are saying that Shug Knight should be dead, mm-hmm. but Tupac, who unfortunately, if Steve De Herrera is still in the house, he brought that completely on himself. Completely on himself. He completely stepped out of character. He forgot that he was an actor, that he was an artist, and he was a poet. He was never a gangster. And he forgot in that moment. When he was in jail, he remembered that he wasn't a gangster. And he comported himself very nicely in jail. Then he got out and he got famous. And he had all these people tell, thug life, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't a thug. Then he went after an actual thug. And that night, what's fascinating is clearly you can't say that this is the devil. Because the guy that Joyner Lucas says should be killed, Shug Knight, God spared him. He took a headshot and survived. Meanwhile, it's obviously in God's plan for Tupac to die that night. So it's the reason I'm camping out on it is because he's questioning, and I'm only criticizing this from a technical analytical perspective. He's criticizing God for making the wrong decision between Tupac and Shug. Mm-hmm. And I'm not certain how much he realizes that the hand of God was clearly, if you believe in God, then the hand of God is clearly demonstrated there in who God chose to save and who God didn't. You cannot attribute that to the devil.
Right.
You can't say that the devil caused Shug Knight to survive a headshot.
Right. Shot him at and caused him to survive. Yeah.
Right? Like, all of us would say, like, for example, if you met a friend and he's like, yeah, and you both believed in God, and he was like, yeah, bro, the guy was 10 feet away from me. He looked dead at me, hit me in the head and everything, and I'm still here. Every person, whether you're religious or not, if you believe in God, you'd have said, oh, man, you're here for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like 50 Cent. 50 Cent got shot 9 times. He got shot more than Pac did, actually. And he survived.
Unbelievable.
And we would say, well, and 50 even said it, I guess I'm here for a real reason. Because I got hit like he got hit, but he ain't still breathing. So the Shug Tupac thing actually exacerbates the problem of evil.
Exactly.
You know, Aaliyah, you could say, well, she died in a plane crash. Everybody died in a plane crash. Yada, yada, yada. But the Shug Pac thing, they were both in the same car. Both got shot at. Shug actually, statistically, should have been, he was a bigger target. He was less healthy. Tupac had like 5% body fat when he died. Like, Pac was healthy. He took chest shots. Shug should have been the one that died from all intents and purposes. And God spared Shug and he took Tupac. That's for me, it's impossible to look at it any other way. So that's the real issue for me. Is like, blaming it on the devil to me doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
Blaming it on free will doesn't solve the problem. Saying that God is not omniscient, that he doesn't know the future, kind of solves the problem, but it makes it so that you have to throw your Bible away. Because I don't know how you can square that God doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow when he says he declares the end from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Notice, it doesn't say that God knows the end from the beginning. It says he declares it, which is a completely different thing. I know what's in the storyline of the Lord of the Rings, but Tolkien wrote the Lord of the Rings. It's not the same thing. So yeah, it's definitely a major problem. And I'm glad, it was an honest question. Obviously, the motif of questioning God, a lot of people, I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever heard anybody in any spiritual position of influence ever say that you can't question God. Have you heard that you can't question God?
Yeah.
So you did it. You did grow up hearing that message.
Who are you to question God?
Well, no, he didn't say you question God.
What does he say?
Says, who are you to answer back to God? Why did you make me this way? Yada, yada, yada. This is a person.
Why did you make me this way? A person
blaming
question.
God for their sin.
Okay, well, I heard that verse used.
As a overall, you can't question anything God does.
Yeah, you were the first person that told me, be honest in your prayers. Like, yeah. That was a weird...
So what were you thinking when you read the Psalms and the people in the Psalms were like, get away from me, I'm sick of you, ah.
I didn't really focus much on that because that usually the stuff that sticks out to you is the stuff that you can relate to. And so I never would ever say something like that to God at that point in my life. Like, get away from me and let me have some peace. I felt like the only reason I could survive was because of him.
Right.
There was enough going on in my life where I didn't feel like that God was the problem. I felt like he was the only way for me to get any help. So, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And you get all these people. Shug is not a good person.
But the Bible doesn't say that you can't question God. People should absolutely... It happens all the time in the scriptures where people...
Yeah, Vlad always says these weird things. If you believe in God. In other words, reality alters based on what's running through your head. No, reality doesn't alter based on what's going through your head, Vlad. Although, Don Hoffman would actually argue that, and I could argue it even from a secular perspective, but I'm not going to do that. Vlad, what I'm saying is, obviously, everybody's base. You claim that you're a physicalist materialist. So you're going to interpret all data from that presupposition. Otherwise, you can't reason. So everybody has guiding presuppositions that are the means by which we interpret reality. So you say things, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, I don't know where you're going. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that that's not the case? Okay. But it is interesting to me about litigating the difference between Tupac and Shug. People are saying Shug wasn't a good person, Tupac was a better person, which goes to the next issue that I had with the video, which is, who are we to say who a good person is or who a bad person is? For example, you got these people. I heard over and over again how Donald Trump was horrible. Donald Trump was a Nazi. Donald Trump was terrible. Yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, AOC and all these other people are listing Margaret Sanger as one of their heroes. Margaret Sanger was a racist eugenist who said that human beings were human weeds that needed to be extirpated from our society. That's almost a direct quote. People were like, oh, people say, oh, Margaret Sanger said that black people were human weeds. And they go, no, she did not say black people were human weeds. That's false. And then you read the whole quote, and it's worse because she did not limit human weeds to black people. She also talked about the disabled and the morbid fecundity of the unfit, meaning that these unfit, evolutionarily backwards people who are going to bring our species back to the Neanderthals, they keep reproducing at a disgusting clip. And we need to do something about that, as well as immigration. That's fucking Margaret Sanger. So Donald Trump is horrible, terrible, nasty, rotten guy. Margaret Sanger is awesome. Donald Trump is terrible. He's a horrible Nazi. And Zelensky's a great guy. He's awesome. And we're giving all the, we've covered this over and over in Middle America. The point is, now we're actually literally, as the song says, funding fucking Nazis. Mm-hmm. But the point is, what it means is human beings, we're not qualified to decide who's good or bad. Mm-hmm. Because the only thing that we judge good or bad by is our interests. The reason that a lot of neoliberal white people are completely fine with Margaret Sanger is because Margaret Sanger doesn't do anything that harms their interests, whereas they perceive Trump as a person that harmed their interests. They were not moral people. There was no moral outrage about Trump or Nazism. If there was moral outrage about Nazism, the same people would have been the first people saying, we can't give these people any money. Mm-hmm. And they were the first ones saying we should. These people were retweeting Azov Battalion, all types of shit. And then 2 years ago, I'm not even trying to get to political. My point is to say, that's how fucking backwards we are. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with like religious people. It's like, oh, the LGBT people, they're going to hell. They deserve to be judged. But the slave owning guy, the slave raping slave, oh, he needs to be a hero. Man, we don't know. We are not, none of us are qualified to judge anyone. And so if God calls a play, I'm at the point where I don't ask those questions.
What do you mean?
I just don't ask those questions. Kobe died.
Yeah.
That really bothered me, but I don't ask those questions anymore because the more and more I look at the world, the more I see how little I know about everything. Oh. And there are so many counterfactuals and other things that I'm not privy to.
Yeah.
And like being a father, when I make certain decisions, and I'm thinking like 19 steps ahead, and I know that even my smartest one's not gonna get it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, so I don't ask those questions, not because I don't think I can question God, just because the answer is closed to me. Like, I have complete trust on that topic.
I couldn't help but think about the Hoffman stuff also.
Yeah.
When he was saying this for like those people to come back here, when maybe that's not even. Maybe we shouldn't even go that deep into it. You know what I'm saying? Like if this is an interface and this life is leading us into another one that's going to be much more real than this one, that it makes this one look like a video game compared to what comes after.
Right.
And then, obviously we haven't gone to that other side. So us from this side are saying, well, you should send them back here, instead of being like, well,
correct.
We're all going to end up on the other side. We are all going to get back together. It's just going to happen the opposite way of what you're thinking.
Well, and of course, Joyner's not thinking to himself about what if Tupac went to a better place, what he would be rapping to God. Because it would be completely flipped. Mm-hmm. They would be saying, why did you leave them behind?
Right.
Right? So that anger...
You can't please everybody.
That anger at God is coming from a limited perception.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We're thinking, oh, they had it made here, and now you took them from us. When in reality, it's like, no, they have it made.
Yeah.
And they're looking at God going, why are you leaving them in that fucked up situation? Mm-hmm. There's Trump, there's Cenk Uygur. What are you doing to these people? But again, the thing that got it for me, obviously, was the first time I went to vaccinate Dorian. And, holding Dorian and making sure that anytime he was wet, I got him dry, he was cold, I got him warm, he was hungry, I got him fed, he was filthy, I got him clean. And then one day I strapped him in a car, and I organized the entire situation. I drove him there, I unstrapped him, and I laid him down, and I held him down while two people he's never met in his life caused him the most pain he's ever felt up to that point. Mm-hmm. And all he can do is trust in all the other shit I did for him before, because he was not at the level where he could comprehend polio and all this other shit. Mumps, measles, rubella. He's fucking 2 days old. Mm-hmm. Or 3 weeks, whatever it was. But you have to, the reason he would still hug me and he still cried on my shoulder, I was the one that held him after, even though I'm the one that put him in the situation, is because he knows all the other times I came through for him. So in my life, when I'm really, really hurt or I'm in a situation where God does something or whatever that I don't like, I go, yeah, but this is a vaccination. Like, there's some reason. And I've had such a track record with him now to where, like, I don't like it. I tell him it's inconvenient, but I believe truly in the marrow of my bones, all these things are working for my good, because I've seen it happen over and over and over and over again in my life. And obviously the biggest one would be Jesus. The best possible person, the worst possible thing happened to him, but it brought about the best possible result. And so that's God's arithmetic. The worse the injustice looks, the higher it is that it's not gonna balance itself. That's one of the reasons I'm not a dualist. God doesn't balance the shit out. What God says is that Paul tells us that I could consider that our current sufferings are not worth comparing to the eternal weight of glory that will be revealed in us. So the suffering that he says are light and momentary afflictions are working for us an eternal weight of glory. Mm-hmm. So you've got light versus eternal weight. You've got temporary versus eternal. And so every tear I've ever cried is working toward some glory in the next phase of this, Earth 2.0 or Universe 2.0. Yep. And it's so much so that if you had to do it over again, once you see the full story, you would say, genuinely, I wouldn't change a thing. People on this planet say that in this timeline. I think that that's crazy. There's a lot of shit I would change. But when that thing is like completely over and you see the entire plan, you would say, I wouldn't change a thing. And so, to me is the more satisfying answer. But that's an answer that you can only get through experience, right? And that's why I encourage everybody, if you can, at least have a child, have one child, because there's a lot of theology that you will get out of having children if you will just listen.
Yep.
Okay. What'd you give the song?
I don't want to give everything a 10.
I know we keep giving everything a 10. This is a 9.4 for me.
This is another 10 for me because one, he brought up a lot of different people and their stories and the way that he. It's always interesting to this. Gonna sound so probably racist. I don't know. Like when you have a black guy and he's rapping and there's like this sort of masculine energy that's coming off, but the way that he was talking sounded very childlike, like I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but he's holding his head as, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But just like the entire thing and the way that it was artistically put together and in the church and the windows and then, watching him and then panning around. I just really loved what they did with it all around, the video, the everything. And yeah. So, it's a 10 for me. It was, and I also think that it's good for people to see somebody asking God questions and saying why. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I need to know, you know what I mean? Like, because I think that all of us have to have those moments because life is tragedy. There is a lot of things that happens in life that is just unexplainable and painful beyond reason. And when we're in those situations, or even when we don't even have a reason for why we feel so distraught or so broken up, we need to know that we can do that, like we can ask the questions. We can say, hey, what is going on here? And we may not come to the actual answer, because at the end he was saying, well, it's the devil's fault then, you know what I mean? But still he felt better, and I don't think that he felt better necessarily because he came to the devil conclusion, but that something about that interaction helped him. Being able to voice it, being able to say it. And that's the thing. When you take time, a lot of times people are like, I don't even know how to pray. What am I even supposed to do? It's not like, you know, there's that prayer, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And you could pray that. And there's also just regular talking. Whatever you would say to your friend, you could just talk regular to God. You can curse, you can do all of it. All of it. Everything's on the table. He wants to hear you. He wants to hear from you. And you can be as honest and as raw as possible, and it's the safest place to do that.
It's
a good one.
It's a really interesting question from Vlad, where he says, what's a past experience with God outside of your own thoughts which you attribute to God telling you something? As far as I can tell, God doesn't audibly talk to anyone, which is a really fascinating thing for Vlad to say, considering he's talking to me right now and it's inaudible.
Right?
Vlad, you're communicating to me through the written word.
Very well played.
Which,
wow.
by the way, for the vast majority of human history, and currently still, is still the primary way in which human beings communicate to each other. So, look, belief, I say, is a matter of volition a lot more than it is of cognition. Mm-hmm. There are ramifications to believing in God, some of which are very convenient for people who believe in God, and there are also logical ramifications to not believing in God, which are also very convenient for the people who claim they don't believe in God. So I think that's why songs like this are important, because it opens up context and discussion for open-minded people to take yet again another crack at it, right? Mm-hmm. So there you go. Really, really good song. What did I give it? I give it a 9.2.
Yeah, I thought you gave it a 9.4.
I'm sitting down as a 9.2.
10 for me.
We have more hip-hop coming. Immortal Technique next, dear listener. Vin out.
Story out.
Go. All right, guys, we're coming right back. We have a freaking model for the method of communication. To compare my existence, a human which you know exists, to God is asinine. Well, I don't know, Vlad. There's lots of people that don't know if you exist. Right? Vlad, you're speaking from a lot of assumptions. You're speaking from a physicalist, materialist assumption. And I personally don't need to tell you that physicalism is on extremely shaky ground in the scientific community. I'm not going to go as far as Don Hoffman and say time-space is doomed. That's not because I don't believe him. It's just because I'm not smart enough yet to articulate exactly what he means. But Vlad, for you to pretend that your guiding presuppositions are the default for every thinking person on the planet, it puts you in a situation where you can get set up for those kinds of situations, because you're not thinking through the holes in what you're saying. There are multiple methods of communicating. I don't know if you've read any of the peer-reviewed journal stuff on extrasensory perception. There's a lot of really crazy shit out there. It's a very strange world, and you don't even have to be a Christian to believe in this stuff. So I just think you got to have a broader palette for argumentation, I think is what I would say. All right, guys, coming up, commercial break, we shall return.